going? Okay. Good morning and a very happy new year to you all. I hope everybody is feeling fresh and calm going into 2025. I always love this time of year. It's kind of my favorite, those fresh feelings that you get, always, yeah, very invigorating. But my name is Jenny. I'm an artist and an illustrator, and I'm the founder of Wildlife Drawing. And we've been doing this for, yeah, over 10 years now. So if you haven't joined with us before, you are part of the online program. So as well as our in-person classes that we run, mostly in and around London, England, we also have our online program, which means that people can join from further afield. And, it's just an amazing way for us to explore the world in more detail. So the online program allows us to, using the power of the internet, we can connect with animal sanctuaries across the globe. We can go on deep dives with scientists that are on the front line of conservation, and we can support charities where our donations really, really make a difference. So last year in 2024, we raised £9,500 for £9,500 for various charities, which is a figure that we're incredibly proud of, especially in this kind of current financial climate. So if you want to know more about the charities that we supported there, you can have a look at our Instagram. And we also sent a mailer about it as well. But if you'd like to have a little bit more of a look, you just let me know. And so today it is wonderful. We are delighted to be starting the year with a virtual visit to somewhere warm and tropical. So it's currently 3 degrees where I am in Ramsgate in the southeast of England. And I'm sure it's colder elsewhere in different parts. But today we're going over to the islands of the Maldives with the wonderful team at the Olive Ridley Project. So that's a rescue and rehabilitation centre for sea turtles. So in this area of the ocean, there are countless sea turtles that are found entangled in ghost fishing nets. So those are nets that have been lost, abandoned, discarded, floating around in the sea, incredibly dangerous to sea life. So yeah, this can cause, in terms of sea turtles, damage to flippers, to shells, buoyancy, and death by drowning and starvation, which is a horrendous way to go. And so this is also something that can be rectified by changes in human behavior. So there is so much to talk about today, and but first we're going to meet the lovely Neus in over at Olive Ridley Project, and she is going to introduce us to our star of the session, who has been floating around and potatoing already this morning. So if you want to unmute yourself, Neus, and we can get to you. I'm just going to replace the pin. Here you are. Oh, still on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There we are.
There we go.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome, Neus.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. Well, yeah, I'm Neus. I'm the sea turtle biologist of the rehab center that we're in today. And
I'm Anvi. I'm the sea turtle biologist intern.
yeah.
Oh,
And we have
hi.
Nakaiy over there. Hello. And yeah, so well, thank you everyone for collaborating and joining this class. Is super cool. I can't wait actually. I'm gonna also learn from it. And yeah, so we are from the Olive Ridley Project, which Jenny, you've talked a little bit about. And yeah, so our main goals are to do rescue rehabilitation, but also scientific research and education and outreach. And so, yeah, if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to ask. We're super happy to talk about turtles all the time. Yeah.
Incredible. Do you want to switch the camera around and tell us a little bit about Nakaiy, how she came to be
Absolutely.
with you, what what injuries sustained, but how she's doing now? Oh,
Yes,
and she's
let
not
me.
there.
She's not there, but she is swimming slowly.
Oh
Here,
yeah, here
I'll
she
just
comes.
move the tripod. Let's see. Nakaiy, come over. You have visitors. Okay, so this is Nakaiy. Nakaiy is a very well, she's my favorite turtle. Oh, she's the only one in the center. And she was found entangled in fishing nets, which is the main cause of stranding for sea turtles, not just in Maldives, but around the world. Now you will see Nakaiy is a little bit tilted. She's not really moving her front left flipper.
Mhm.
And she has a very distinct mark on the right side of her beak, which she's not showing right now. She has a little gap, and that's because the ropes from the entanglement were inside of her mouth as well.
Oh.
They were also wrapped around that front left flipper, and she also has a mark around her neck. Let me see if she is showing her little face. Um, so yeah, so she has these three main scars that you will see on her face and flipper. And yeah, so she was rescued around a year and 2 months ago at this point. And she was taken to the Sea Turtle Rehabilitation Center, which is sort of the hospital that we have in the Maldives.
Hello.
Sorry, I will be moving around.
You're doing a great job.
And yes, she was taken there. That's where we have the Sea Turtle Hospital, and we have a team of vets and volunteers, and also an intern there who take care of the patients. Now, when they rescue a sea turtle and they take it there, most of the times they can be released from the hospital itself once they're all healthy. But some patients require a little bit more time to recover, not just time, but also space. And for those specific patients, that's why we have these rehabilitation centers like this one. We have 3 of them. And in this one, we can hold 2 turtles. So actually, I will show you a little bit around. So we have the 3 tanks. There you go. And Nakaiy, we found you.
It is, yeah. Nice to see her from a different angle too.
Yes. Yeah, if you want me to show you other angles, let me know.
Yeah, well, you're
Yeah, now
doing
we
an
have her
amazing
here.
job of the camera operating at the moment, as well as presenting. So well done to
Oh,
you.
yes. So
Ah,
yes, so Nakaiy was in the hospital for 10 months. And then after that, she was officially a healthy sea turtle. But you can see that Nakaiy is, as you said before, she's kind of potatoing around. She's floating around. And so she has a buoyancy disorder, but it's actually a behavioral issue. Physiologically, she can dive. It's just
right.
that she chooses not to. And this is a very common thing for sea turtles that go through a very traumatic experience, like an entanglement.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and so that's what we do here is we make sure that before she leaves, we want to make sure that she's resting at the bottom of the tank and diving on her own, and sort of behaving like a regular sea turtle. And
yeah.
so we do dive training here with her. That's like the
Amazing.
main therapy that we do with Nakaiy.
So, can you tell us a little bit what does that dive training look like? Do you get in there
Oh,
with her or?
oh, you know what? I kind of wish, but no, she would bite us. So what we do every day, wait, let me put this as a wall here. So with Nakaiy, we do dive training. Okay, so every time we feed her,
Mhm.
we use these buoys. I don't know if you're gonna
Yeah,
see.
yeah, we can
Okay,
see them
these
perfectly.
are actually vertical. So the weight is here,
Mhm.
and then the buoy is up here.
Yeah.
Now, we will put the pieces of food in this little loop, and then drop this in the tank. And so Nakaiy has to dive to get the pieces of fish, prawns, squids, romaine lettuce, which she hates. And so she has to dive in to get them. Now, when she started here, her buoys were practically at the surface level. So
Yeah.
that's how she trains how to use these buoys. And then gradually every day or other day or other week, we
Mhm.
will decrease the depth,
Yeah.
or increase the depth.
Increase, yes,
decrease,
yes.
yeah, decrease the size of the rope really. And so in that way, we are making a gradual, there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah, she kind of learns how to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. The whole point is that eventually Nakai's buoys will be pretty much touching the floor.
Hmm.
And at that point, when we see Nakaiy is comfortable at the bottom and doesn't float back up very fast,
Hmm.
then we will stop using the buoys. At that point, it will be the last bit of her rehabilitation. We will start just dropping the food in the tank. The food will drop down and she will pretty much vacuum the floor.
Right, amazing.
Yeah.
And how is her progress so far?
So right now, so these tanks are 2 meters deep.
Yeah.
Um, and now she's diving 105 centimeters. So it's a little bit
Okay.
over half of the tank.
All right,
And
great.
she's been with us in this center for 4 months now.
Oh,
Um,
okay. And she's making
yeah,
slow but gradual progress.
exactly. Yes,
That's
yes,
great
yes. So
news.
there's
Oh,
hope for her.
sweet girl. Oh,
Yeah.
she's gorgeous. Well, I think everybody, I mean, I've certainly fallen in love with her already, and I hope everybody else on the call has. So let's just whiz through a couple of quick drawing pointers and then we can get into it. Now, of course, you can obviously you might be already drawing, but what I'm going to do, and in that case, you can just keep pinning the ORP stream here with Nakaiy. But if you'd like to have a little look at some pointers, I'm just going to pop my drawing screen on here so you can pin. You can see where my hands are dancing here. If you'd like to pin that screen, let me know if anyone can't find it because there's quite a few people on this call today. So you should be seeing, yeah, a screen with just a couple of drawings on. I picked out, as you can see here, my a nice palette of oceanic drawing colored pencils there. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to show you, specifically when drawing Nakaiy, but also about sea turtle anatomy. So if you've been to one of my classes before, you know that the way that I often start is by drawing a sort of circle for the head and then a line for the spine, which works for the majority of animals. It kind of even works sometimes for insects as well. But when you've got an animal that has a shell, you may start to feel like it's a little bit disjointed and you're not quite sure of how to begin. Now, I would like to just sort of say that it doesn't have to be disjointed. And I would say that it's really crucial that you draw the shell as the part of the rest of the body, if you know what I mean. So despite them having a shell and then the softer tissues around, you still want to think of it as one beautiful streamlined animal, because that is what they are meant to do. They are totally efficient for like swimming through the ocean. There's no kind of there's nothing that's creating a barrier here or any kind of drag. Sea turtles are completely designed to be, swimming through that ocean the most efficiently. So use your best sort of sweeping, flowing lines to get your drawings in. Now, when you can start, so the shell shape, let's have a look at the shell shape. So depending on for the angle that you're looking at, it will look a little bit different. So sometimes from the front here, it's a little bit more helmet-like, but from the side, it still will have that kind of raised part here. So the peak of it is kind of just over 50% of the way towards the head. So the peak is sort of about here, and then it kind of tapers off and flares around the outside. Now, it's also important to remember that shell is like a sandwich. So it has a top and it has a bottom part of it. And sometimes what's really useful is that you can actually draw, maybe it's best to show you this one. You can sometimes even draw like a horizontal line. If your turtle is kind of completely at one side, you can draw a horizontal line, and it's really helpful sometimes to look at what's below that horizontal line, which kind of meets the edge of the shell, and what's above that horizontal line. So sometimes that's a really good way of kind of working it out. You can kind of maybe see here as well. Oh, something to mention as well, when we're drawing Nakaiy, we'll often have the water line to contend with as well. And I wouldn't try to ignore that because it's quite important bit of context. So always add that water line in. And because of the I'm going to say refraction of light. I think that's correct. But basically it will alter what you can see above and below. So it might be that your top of your shell is often cut off, but that's okay. I think it makes for a more informed drawing. So yeah, that water line is important. When we're starting to get, oh, sorry, what I wanted to say as well is that the shell is actually, it's the spine of the turtle is actually fused to the shell, and so and as is the kind of the shoulder blades here as well. So it is an integral part of the structure of the animal. And also the shell is made of keratin, which is the same material as our fingernails, and actually turtles have a little bit of feeling in there as well, so it's kind of amazing fact. So yeah, when we're looking at the head, obviously, just depending on whether Nakaiy is looking at us or kind of side swimming on past, the head will look quite different. But I think turtle heads are a very interesting shape. I wanted to just point out to you that in order to get your The real key to a sea turtle, I think, is this amazing little beak here, this little sort of pointy section, which is right in the middle, in between those nostrils, in between those eyes. There's a lot of lovely symmetry well, in lots of faces, but in sea turtles in particular, because they've got these amazing sort of plates of the bony plates of the shell, and they've got this incredible kind of pattern around their eyes. Their eyes are incredibly bulbous and very, very, they sit quite far towards the nostrils. So they're almost kind of on top of each other. And then they've got these beautiful, so I always think with the eyes of animals, in order to make them look like they belong to the face, it's always really good to not just draw the eyeballs themselves, but everything around the eye. And with the sea turtles, it's actually really essential because they have such an interesting hooded structure over their eye, and they've got plenty of kind of, I'm not going to say like sort of wrinkles, I suppose, like sort of lid wrinkles above and below the eye as well. So if you're drawing all of those, will make sure that you can make those eyes look like they're not too googly, and that they belong to the head. Now, something else that I wrote about was the flippers. So depending on the angle, again, your flippers are essentially quite flat. So they can look like the sort of oar shape that we're sort of familiar with, or they can look like a sort of straight line as well. So depending on the angle, you just make sure you're trusting your eyes and drawing exactly what it is that you see. In terms of the texture and the patterns of the shells and of the scales of the face, they're unique to every turtle and they're really fun to do. But I would say don't worry about doing every single meticulous one. Maybe it's good here. You can see that I've drawn a little bit of each, and sometimes lesser still. So sometimes it's nice to just do a couple of like little patches, or a couple of kind of just alluding to the fact that the scales are there and the shell is here. You don't have to draw every single piece in. If you do a couple, the brain will automatically fill them in for you, so you don't need to worry too much about that. And then the other thing to say would be that it's a good idea to look at the light as well. So it's kind of cloudy in the Maldives at the moment, but the light will generally be coming from the top. So naturally, the underside of the turtle will be much darker. So try and use that shading to sort of get that lovely sense of three-dimensionality. So I think that's just about everything that I had to say. Let's head back to pinning the lovely Nakaiy, who again looks like, oh, we've got a lovely above view here. How's she
Yeah,
doing? Is she okay?
she's great. She's
Yeah,
fantastic.
she's
She's
doing
having a little
brilliant.
nap. Yeah, she's
Just give
better
me
than all of
two,
us.
just 2 seconds. I've got someone very aggressively knocking at my door.
Oh
Be
God.
back in 2 seconds. My goodness me, sorry about that. That's not very professional, but they were really relentless. Okay, so now yeah, thanks, Michelle. Talk amongst yourselves. So now we can get into question time. Now again, please welcome any questions that we have about Nakaiy or about the project. But I want to just ask about the species, because Nakaiy is an olive Ridley, isn't she? So that is
Yes.
synonymous
So
to your charity's name, but you don't just rescue olive Ridleys, do you?
no, we don't. So the reason why we're called Olive Ridley Project is because around 90% of the sea turtles that we rescue in the Maldives are this species. And it's a fun fact, they're not even from here. So this species, so actually, if we go snorkeling or diving in the Maldives, we will most likely see greens and hawksbills.
Mm-hmm.
The greens live in the seagrass meadows, which are very common in the Maldives, and then the hawksbills are they live in the coral reefs, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
these guys, olive ridleys, like Nakaiy, are actually pelagic animals, sea turtles, which means that they live in the open ocean. Okay, and not only that, but they actually don't nest in the Maldives either. We do have very, very sporadic nests, scattered nests once in a while, once in a blue moon, but it is very rare. They nest in the east coast of India and Sri Lanka, actually. So
Right.
yeah, so what happens is once they come out of the nest, so they hatch and emerge from the nest, they will venture to the open ocean, and they will stay there for pretty much all of their life, unless when they have to go back to nest. Okay, so when they have to go back nesting, they will kind of go back to their natal home, so around the region where they were born,
Hmm.
and they will lay their own eggs. Now, the reason why we call olive Ridley, as I said, is because most of the turtles that we rescue are actually this species. And this actually happens because the Maldives has a sort of very unique, how to say, geography.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we are a strip of 1,200 islands, vertical crossing the Indian Ocean. And so we are sort of a sieve, like a colander
Yes, I
for
thought
marine
that was an
debris.
incredible way of describing
Right,
it,
yeah,
actually.
that's how I describe it for kids, and I think it's the best thing ever, like
Yeah,
the
it
best
works.
explanation actually. It is, we're like a colander, and so we are getting a lot of debris from other, not just fisheries, but other countries as well. So yeah. And with that comes obviously sea turtles that are entangled in fishing nets, or they have consumed plastic, or they have all sorts of issues. Now, right now this month, so from actually December up until May, we have high stranding season, and that's because in the Maldives we have two main seasons. We have the southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon, and when this happens, when there's a change of season, the currents sort of change, and they kind of go the opposite way. And so when it's the northeast monsoon, which is now, which actually should be the dry season, but you can see it's very cloudy today. um, what happens is that the turtles that are migrating, and kind of going to their nesting grounds and stuff, they often find themselves entangled in marine debris, because obviously with these currents come a lot of marine debris and fishing nets, right? So they just happen to live in areas which are very, very dangerous for them, no? And
Yeah.
so these months are the months that we find the most turtles. But having said this, it doesn't mean that it's because it's happening more. It's just the fact that they are landing more here.
Mm.
But entanglement, and all of these threats, um, are happening constantly. It's just that we don't really see them, no? So we're actually seeing the tip of the iceberg of this issue.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And can you describe to us, so there must be a pretty good communication network set up by now in order for you to get there to rescue the turtle. So are you like the number one kind of, are you the people to call when people spot a turtle in danger?
Yeah, so that's so we do have the ORP hotline, and
Hmm.
with time I think more and more people are aware, and we try to, educate as many people, from people in schools, fishermen, local councils, resorts, other biologists,
Yeah.
etc. Um, Also workers from resorts, for example, everyone in this
Yeah.
island knows that if something happens, they should call us. They should
Yeah,
call
great.
me or the ORP hotline, no? And so this hotline is a direct a phone call to the vets in Coco Palm, in where we
Mhm.
have the hospital.
Yeah.
And so, um, and yeah, and that's key, because obviously, so this can happen anywhere in the Maldives, but
Hmm. Hmm.
when we get a call, they explain, we have a turtle, she's entangled, what do we do? And so we kind of give them the step by step, how to say, what to do and
Directions,
what not to
like
do, do's and
instructions. Yeah.
don'ts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and then depending on where they are, depending on their condition, we basically make them come here either by boats, by seaplanes. So we are actually partnered with TMA, which is
Wow.
the seaplanes here in the Maldives,
Yeah.
one of the brands, and so they are sort of like the VIPs of the air. Whenever a turtle is rescued, then if TMA has a flight around, then they will help us out.
Oh,
Um, which is
incredible.
fantastic. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so we do a lot of education and outreach, spreading that phone number as well.
Hmm.
And also some, we do have guides, which are, a little PDF of the kind of a recipe book of what to do if you find a
Yeah.
turtle and what not to do,
Yeah.
which is very handy for people to have downloaded on their phones when they're out at sea, and they
Awesome.
just kind of follow the path of, yeah.
And what would that, sorry guys, I'll get to your questions in a
No.
section. I'm just what when you say do's and don'ts, are there some cases where the turtles can be kind of the nets are cut away and they can be kind of, if they swim off, like can people perform those rescues without your help basically?
Yes. So
Mm.
fantastic. This is my favorite question. So
Yeah.
imagine, okay, and this is a life lesson for everyone,
Yeah.
not just for sea turtles, but for any animals. If you ever find an entangled dog, an entangled cat, an entangled bird, an entangled like human, even, um, this is kind of a how to say, um,
Just
first
the
aid, a first aid
first
thing.
aid.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, okay, imagine we find a turtle that is wrapped around this line,
Yep.
but it's quite loose.
Hmm.
Okay. In this case, um, most likely she will be releasable in situ. So they will call the ORP hotline and they'll say, this is the situation. And they'll say, actually, this is releasable. You can cut the lines, you can retrieve the turtle. Don't disentangle ever in the water because obviously that is a health issue for you. Like it, can be
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
dangerous. So always retrieve the turtle out, put her in the boat or put her in the sand. Never flip a sea turtle upside down, by the way. And um,
Okay.
and then
Good to know.
and then I can talk about that later also. And then they will say, you can release, so let her go, and then let her go into the sea and see what happens. And I
Hmm.
say see what happens because often, again, through after a traumatic experience, they kind of don't dive anymore. And so
Mm.
if you see after releasing a turtle that is entangled loosely, but you see, and she has no other issues, her shell is fine, her flippers are fine, everything's fine, she's very active, and they say you release her. You have to check whether she's diving
Got
because
it.
often what we see is that, obviously they try to swim away, but they just float. Okay, so if they just float, that means that there's another issue that we don't know what it is, and she needs to be rescued.
Got it.
Now,
Got it.
what about an entanglement, which is what I was saying about, a first aid thing for all sorts of animals.
Yeah.
Now, if the entanglement is very, very tight, like
Hmm.
this, okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what happens to my hand if it's like this?
Mm. Yeah, it's cutting off the blood flow, isn't it?
It's cutting off the blood flow, and then with time, I'm gonna get blood clots, and then with time, my cells are going to start dying because
Yeah.
obviously they can't breathe, and therefore they just become uh, toxic, right?
Hmm.
Now, if someone tries to help me and releases this, what happens? The blood clots can go to my brain or my heart, and I can die from a seizure. The toxic not shells, cells, can contaminate the rest of the body, of the organs, and
Mm.
I can die from a sepsis, which is a toxic shock. And also, the line actually can serve as it's holding the wound, so that sometimes when we release this, the animal, in this case a turtle, would excessively bleed. And so, what we always say is, if the constrictions are tight, we
Hmm.
do not want to let them go. You want to keep them. You want to send this animal to the rescue center with the constriction on, and
Right.
then and also it is a very painful thing for them as well. Um,
Mhm.
and so it's better to remove them surgically, um, evaluate whether the flipper is salvageable or not, and then from there the vets can decide what to do. Now, if in the case of an amputation,
Mhm.
surgically, sea turtles can survive with 3 flippers. They're completely fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing. That was such a good explanation.
yeah.
Now we know. And if anyone
Now
is
you know.
traveling to anywhere with sea turtles this summer, or
Yeah.
indeed any time, please retain that information and hopefully you'll save a turtle if you find one.
Yes, and the thing is, nowadays it's very common to have a rescue center relatively close by, wherever you are in the world. So it's always good to kind of, whenever you're traveling, just have a little Google search of, rescue centers in
Yeah.
Bali, rescue center in Indonesia, whatever, and then you kind
Yes.
of have that phone number ready. Like the Maldives one, if you type Sea Turtle Rescue Maldives, we will show up. But
That's
I
such a
also
good
I
idea.
can actually give you the phone number as well.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's a
but
great idea,
yeah,
especially, I
that's
mean,
yeah,
I imagine lots of people on these calls would be going to places specifically to see animals.
yeah,
And so if you are placing yourself in a space where there is lots of wildlife, like absolutely arm yourself with that information. And then
yeah,
it's there when you've got it and you like the internet's not working on your phone. And that's such a good idea. And I'm going to do that.
yeah. Fantastic,
Um,
great.
so quick,
And yeah,
let
yeah,
me just quickly say to everyone, the postman sort of put me off a little bit, and I wanted to just kind of say that if you are struggling with any kind of sketches today, please feel free to come and refer back to my drawings here. Mine are becoming very quick, and I'm not getting loads done, like loads of finished portraits. But that's not really what this session is about. I wanted to just finish up by saying that Nakaiy is actually I feel like she's had a burst of energy since we've
yep.
started this call. And so she is actually much more active than she has been for a while. But what
Yes.
I wanted to say was that you can actually have a couple of drawings on the go at any one time. And so if you've drawn her from one angle and she's moved, just don't worry that that drawing's not finished. It's not that one's not wrong or anything. You can just carry on with that one maybe when she gets in that position. You can also take screenshots. Sometimes that's a really good way of kind of getting your getting everything down. But alternatively, you can just look at this drawing session as like a very kind of relaxed, free-flowing thing. And if you get a couple of shapes every so often, that's great. But what you'll be doing is getting the sense of the movement, and you'll be understanding more about the turtle as well. I'm always breaking animals down into a series of simple shapes in order to put them back on my page. You can sort of see what I'm doing here if you want to pin my screen. So yeah, very, very simple shapes, and just sort of using that as a structure then to add detail as we go along. But I've seen your, Sheila, you're saying your turtle heads keep looking like parrots. And I would say, there is some similarity there, certainly with the beak and with the eyes as well. But I would say try and get that squareness. The squareness of the nostrils is quite crucial as well, I think. And also, yeah, getting those nostrils in there, the two holes that are basically right on the edge, sort of facing forward. Hopefully, they will make your turtle heads look less parroty. But let's come back to some of the questions. So actually. Hannah, your question really follows on from what we were just talking about. Hannah's asking, what happens if a turtle can't be rehabilitated to dive? Do you have a resource to keep them longer term? How does that work?
Yeah, for these cases, it's a little bit complicated because obviously, well, in the Maldives, euthanizing is illegal, right? So, which
Mm,
and so for some cases of turtles that are not in the best conditions, we do
yeah,
keep them for as long as they survive. But often, in those cases, they sort of either die naturally or we just kind of keep them for a long time.
yeah.
Um, but so far, uh, pretty much, yeah, the
So
turtles that are. Sorry.
sorry, I was just going to say, so they've always got a home with you. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why you
yeah,
have these extra pools. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, the good thing is that there is quite a few studies that show that turtles that even don't have just have one flipper and four little stumps, three little stumps,
Mm.
they are seen nesting even. So
Oh,
there is
wow.
hope for every case. So even though they may take years instead of months or weeks to rehabilitate, there's always hope. And so if there is the slightest chance of rehabilitating a turtle, obviously the vet team is trying their bestest to save every single turtle.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah,
I mean, that's absolutely incredible. And it sounds like you've got
yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful setup on your island bases to do the best work you can. So that leads back to a really good question. So from my mum,
Hmm.
she's asking, how long has the project been running for?
So the ORP has been, well, it was how to say, funded in
Hmm.
2013, but the first sea turtle hospital was opened in 2017.
Hmm.
Now, I say the first turtle hospital, but it was actually the first vet ever in the Maldives was was with the ORP.
Yeah.
So it is a quite recent thing, which is, yeah, if you think about it, the
Yeah,
amount of
quite
animals
recent
that
for
are in the
sure.
Maldives. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we opened the first fully equipped clinic in the Maldives, and since then we have that one hospital still, the Cocopom in
Yeah.
Cocopom do Nicono, and now we have three rehab centers. Now these rehab centers, we have three of them. The one we're in now is the largest of them all.
Yeah.
We have two big tanks. So this is
Uh-huh.
Nakaiy's tank. This is also Nakaiy's tank, but we there's no other turtle here. And this is the holding tank. So in this setup, we can hold two turtles, so
Yeah.
one on each big tank. And
Uh-huh.
the reason we have three is because when it's tank cleaning day, we will need to drain these tanks, remove
Hmm.
all the water for us to basically get in and scrub,
Yeah, of
remove all
course.
the algae, clean it. And so if we had a second turtle, we would move her to the holding tank.
Got it.
Whilst we're cleaning, then we get it refilled and move the turtle back in. Now, if worst comes to worst, we could actually hold four sea turtles in this center.
Yeah.
But that would be only if we put a partition in between the tanks.
Right. Wow. Okay, so
Because
that's an option
yeah,
if
we do
desperate.
have the option. If we're desperate, we can make it work.
Yeah.
Now, ideally, no, because the whole point of this rehab center is for them to have a very large space. Um, but obviously, if worst comes to worst, we would do that, of course. And yeah, the reason why I say we have to separate them is because they will fight.
Really? Yeah.
So yeah,
So
yeah.
so I'm interested. So they are a solitary species, aren't they?
Yes, they're completely solitary animals. They do come together to mate, but other than that, they are, yeah, roaming
Yeah.
around on their own.
Roaming on their own. Yeah.
And especially olive ridleys tend to be more aggressive in if they share a tank. Other
Right.
species are not as territorial. But
Sure.
yeah, these guys are not good. They are a bit mean to each other.
Uh-huh. Well, I guess when you have to survive in the big wide open ocean, you need that kind of feistiness, don't you?
Yeah.
I got a question. So what's their behavior like towards you? I mean, would they have a little snap at you? And it related to that, on the other side of the coin, would they be attached to humans after their time with you? Is that a problem in
Well,
the wild?
so the thing is, they are reptiles, right? So we
Yeah.
tend to kind of, how to say, um, mm, we 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 try to, how do I say this? Baby animals in a way. So we always kind of humanize animals, and we think, oh,
Yeah.
she loves me. I think, well, with reptiles, they don't have those social skills as we do.
No,
So I
I
love
agree.
to think that Nakai recognized me, and I love to think that she comes to say hi to me and stuff. But most likely she is kind of just sees me and related to food now.
Oh.
Which I think, she's saying hi to me, she loves me. But yeah. So let's
I
see,
think
she's
I
moving
think there
around.
might be a little bit of both in there. I don't know. I've met
Yeah.
reptiles like lizards and tortoises that have had like a real personality, and I know that
Yeah,
Nakaiy is considered
personality
kind
wise,
of
they do. They definitely do. Especially if you go to the sea turtle hospital, you
yeah,
will see each turtle is one is very skittish, the other one is very curious. So I think it's more curiosity rather than having a bond with a human. I think it's
yeah.
more just the curiosity of seeing another animal that is kind of, feeding me, and it's yeah, and
Well,
it's
that
moving
bodes
around and it's
really
looking at
well.
me.
I
Yeah.
suppose it makes it easier for release though, right? Because like, say if you were doing this with primates,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
you would have to keep them completely, yeah, you basically wouldn't be able to show yourself, would you, in order to look
yeah.
after them? It'd be really, really difficult.
Yeah, and I
Um,
mean, to be honest, when before we release Sea Turtle, we do kind of, for example, with the feeding. Right now, Nakai obviously sees us feeding her because we are training her with the buoys and everything. But when she's ready, when she's resting in the bottom of the tank, and when she's feeding, quite deep in the tank, we will switch that method and just throw the food
mm,
into the tank. The food will drop down,
yeah,
and then we will go out as well, like we will leave, she won't see us at that point. So in
got it.
in at the end of her rehabilitation, she will lose the connection between humans and also the buoys and the ropes that contain the food as well.
Yeah.
So it's and they do become very antisocial before they're releasable. It's kind of a
Interesting.
thing. They hate us, which is the
Wow.
best sign. Yeah,
So that's when
they
you
become.
know.
Yeah, so
Huh.
when we know when, well, obviously a vet has to come and evaluate her one last time, but it is very common that they tend to be more aggressive, have less patience to be held and stuff. Whoop.
Just ready to
And
go.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, ready to go, exactly.
Yeah. And
Come
what's
here.
she doing here? She's just taking a breath. That's what she's doing when she's
Yes,
lifting her head up. Yeah.
exactly. Yes. So they breathe air just
Mhm.
like we do. They have two lungs as well. And so right now she's holding her breath. Okay,
Yeah.
but when you see that she tilts her head 45 degrees up, that's when her trachea opens and that's when she gets a breath of air.
Got
Yeah,
it.
other than that, yeah, right now she's just holding her breath.
Yeah.
There
Ah, she's gorgeous. Okay, we've got a couple more questions here.
you go. Look.
There she go, yeah. And she fills her throat full of it, doesn't she? It's full of air.
Yeah, so she does struggle a little bit with when she gets air because of the gap that she has on the beak.
Ah,
But so she kind of gargles a little bit of water in her mouth before
oh,
before breathing. But other than that, she's breathing fine.
amazing.
Yeah.
How long can they hold their breath for?
So they can hold their breath for up to 7 hours.
What?
But that's kind of the maximum. Yeah. That
That,
is the maximum. They, yeah. Having said this, it depends on the activity they're doing.
hmm.
And so in the case of Nakaiy, well, she is in the surface all the time, so air is very easily available for her. So she does take more breaths than a regular turtle would.
Yeah.
But when sea turtles are, for example, foraging, and they do this submerged in the water, they will come to breathe every 10 to 15 minutes, more or less.
Okay, got
And
it.
that's because they are using more oxygen, right? But then when they're resting or when they're sleeping, they will take breaths every 2 to 3 hours or so, but they can go up to 7 hours. Yeah, it
Wow.
just depends on their activity.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So Hannah is asking whether when you release the turtles, do you tag or track them at all?
Yes. So, well, we do a few things. So every turtle has a unique face.
Yeah.
So on their sides of their face, they have a unique pattern of scales that we can use as a fingerprint. And it is a non-invasive form of tagging them. We have a catalog of all the left sides, right sides, and then we can kind of count and track the number of turtles in the wild, right? And also
Mhm.
of our patients as well. Now, with Olive Ridley's. Okay, there she go. With Olive
She's
Ridley's,
giving us a good show.
just to keep cardio here. I'm doing a little cardio session
She's
here.
doing great.
Anyways, so for some of our patients, we do satellite track them. Now we've tracked 6 patients so far. The tags are quite costly, obviously, and so we can't do this with
Mm.
all of the turtles that we release. But it is very interesting to see their behavior once they are released. What we tend to see is that they kind of hang around the area where they're released. So, say, for example,
Mm.
close by to Cocopom for a few days, and then they kind of start their migration patterns again. They travel to the Bay of Bengal,
Wow.
following the currents. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, there she is.
Because they're true ocean wanderers, aren't they, turtles?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. So, with olive release, as they are open ocean sea turtles, it is quite unlikely that we find them again in the
Yeah,
wild
of course.
because it is just very hard to, track them.
In
Um,
place.
yeah. But with the greens and the hawksbills that we rescue here, you can they are coastal sea turtles, so they
Mhm.
tend to stay close to shore. And so what we often see is that obviously we do the photo ID and then we have, a tourist, for example, or a worker from another resort or another place or even a local with that they take pictures and they send them to us. And
Yeah,
we can find turtles that that have been in the rehab center and then they've seen in another reef, right?
got it. Oh,
So it is
how
it
nice.
is
You can
a
see them
yeah, so
again. Yeah, lovely.
yeah, so
Um,
it's really nice. With olive lilies, is a little bit more tricky because again, they are open ocean girls, but and boys.
yeah,
But with the greens and the hawksbills that stay closer, then it is a little bit more easy to continue that photo ID with
got
them.
you.
Yeah.
Great. Oh,
Yes.
amazing. So we have another question from Michelle. So Michelle is actually she knows a lot about animals. She has worked for many city farms, and so she always has the questions, the practical questions about caring for animals.
Oh,
She's
fantastic.
asking, how often do you need to do a full clean of the tanks? What's the process of refilling them? What's the water quality, the transport of water? How do you do it?
Fantastic.
Very
Okay, I can.
practical from Michelle, as
Okay, are you
always.
ready for the nasties? Okay, so basically, we have a constant supply of seawater that goes in there. We have the inflows there at the corners of our tanks, and we're getting direct seawater from the sea. Okay, they do go through a pair of sand filters, but that's it. Okay, it's natural. Now, with that, obviously comes little algae and little well, that settles on the sides of the tank. And so, for example, you see this tank was Nakai's for a week,
Uh-huh.
okay? And you can see it's a lot greener than the other one.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more blue. So what we do is every week we drain and clean and fill up again the tanks. So this is once a week, where we just get in and scrub and
I've seen that
rinse and
happen. Is
yeah,
it
it's a mission.
it's a mission,
And
yeah.
so for the big tanks, it normally it takes us around 3 hours to fully clean. Um, for the small tank, we can do it in an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, to fill up, they fill up overnight because they are very large tanks, and
Hmm.
then to drain, they take around 2 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And then
Um,
what else was the question? Ah, the salinity. Salinity is
mm,
35 parts per million.
wow.
Yes.
Very
Which
good.
is
Very,
matching the sea.
yeah,
Yeah, and the
matching the
temperature as well
seawater. Yeah,
matches the sea as
quality.
well.
Yeah,
Yes.
got you. Fantastic. Okay, so olive ridleys, are they classed as endangered at the moment?
So they're classed as vulnerable to
Mm.
how to say thingamajiggy.
On the ICUN list?
Extinction.
Oh,
Extinction.
extinction. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Let me say English is my second language. Thank
No,
you.
no, you are unbelievable. You're doing such like I can't even tell you how amazing you are at speaking English
Oh,
and like
stop.
saying all of these very specific, very niche like explanations. Like you're amazing.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Anyway, so they are classed as vulnerable. Now all of the sea turtles are pretty much endangered because they are all facing the same threats. So not just plastic pollution and the ghost nets as well, but other bigger impacts from humans is for example, climate change.
Yeah.
Um, and so it is affecting all of the sea turtles, and obviously they're not doing great. So there's 7 species of sea turtle, and yeah, they're all they can all do a little bit of help from us.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And so maybe this is a good time to just quickly kind of run through a couple of things that we can do. Maybe even, I mean, I guess the majority of us are here in the UK,
Hmm.
but there are people, across Europe and certainly in Canada that are joining today. Like, is
Oh,
there
amazing.
anything that we can do? I mean, certainly reducing our plastic use, and what about supporting certain fishing industries that don't use the nets that
Yeah.
are
So
causing these
Poland
problems? Is
line.
there something like that?
There is something. So, for example, in the Maldives, Maldives has one of the most sustainable fisheries in the world
Yeah.
because they catch their fish using a pole and line method.
Poland line. Yeah.
Yeah, so pole and line is actually, you can find fish in the market that says pole and line code, for example.
Yeah.
And so, that is way more sustainable than the other commercial fisheries,
Uh-huh.
especially long lines and trawling, bottom trawling
Trawling. Yeah.
are awful.
Absolutely. And I'm
But
seeing actually now that is more identification on the fishing method on packaging now. So
yes,
actually some
yes,
of it I think is more available. So it's
yeah,
not, you can't just be greenwashed by what's on the packaging. I think they have to specifically say in some cases. So it is worth
yes.
having a look at. Sorry, I
Yeah.
interrupted you. Please continue.
No, it's fine. Oh my God. So yeah, definitely the method of catching of the fish that you may consume. That is one of the things. The other things is, well, obviously plastic. So try to avoid the usage of plastic whenever you can. I think that more and more people are more aware, and we've all started to kind of, oh look, she's breathing. Yay.
Wow. Oh,
I wish it was on the other side so you could see the little gap and say, but
oh,
anyway.
maybe we'll
And
get it
then
next. This is so beautiful right up close. You can really see the pattern. And does she have a little like algae on her head?
yeah, so actually
Yeah.
Nakaiy has quite a bit of a algae buildup, which
Uh-huh.
is actually better for them. So
Yeah.
we try to keep a little bit of algae on her. We do clean her once a week, but we don't remove the whole thing
Yeah.
because it's actually, you know how when we after COVID everyone was washing their hands so much like erratically.
Yeah.
It's actually bad for us. So it's the same with them. It's actually good for them to have a little bit of a layer of um this kind of sorts of biofilm that they have.
Yeah.
It's actually healthy for them. So we're keeping a little
That's
bit of algae
great.
on.
No, I always find it funny when you see this pictures of sea turtles and they've got like, those
A
green
beard.
beards flowing in the
Yeah.
water.
She had eyelashes at one point. She had little
Oh,
green eyelashes.
incredible. Oh, so
Yeah.
good.
So if it is building up too much, we do remove it. But other than that, we do keep a little bit of a layer there, for her, safer. But yeah, what else? The fishing, then the plastic. Okay, so actually, fun fact. Let's see if Nakai comes closer. So I can show you my favorite part of the sea turtle is the nose. Now,
Yeah.
sea turtles have very, very powerful sense of smell, and so all of the 7 species of sea turtle, they all have very specific diets, but they all tend to eat jellies as well.
Yeah.
Now, jellyfish, so you know how there's this kind of concept of a plastic bag looks like a jelly and therefore they eat it. So
Yes.
it's not just that, okay? What happens is when plastic enters the sea, um, after a few days or weeks, it grows a biofilm of kind of algae and little
Um,
critters that grow on top. Have you ever grabbed a piece of plastic from the sea and it was slimy?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that slime is this kind of biofilm, right? And this is the same biofilm that covers things in the sea like jellyfish. Okay. And so what happens is turtles smell for jellies
Uh,
and their food as well. And so whenever they find a plastic piece, it just happens to smell like a jellyfish, and therefore they think that it's
uh,
a jelly.
yes.
Now that's why we not only see turtles passing plastic bags, we see turtles passing any sort of plastic, any sort of color, any sort of texture. As they just kind of smell it and think it's a jelly.
Yeah. Well,
So
it
that is
makes
why it's not
sense.
just how it looks like; it's more of how it smells like.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
so their sense of smell underwater is good, is it?
Yes. Okay, let's see. She's on the other side. I'm going to try and point at her little nose, which is my
Yeah.
favorite
Let's have a
part
little look.
of the turtles. Mira, Gordy. Mira. Come here.
Oh,
Okay.
perfect. Yes, there they are.
Can you see the little
Oh,
nose?
yeah. It's gonna take a little screenshot.
Gordy.
Hello. Oh, wow. And you can see that beak beautifully. Oh, and a brain. Wow,
Okay,
incredible.
now she's going on the wall. But let's see if she looks at us, and then I'll show you the little nose, which actually resembles a little bit of a dog or a cat's nose. It's
Yes, it's quite
squishy.
prominent, isn't it? The two nostrils
Yeah,
facing forward. Mm.
yeah, it is quite squishy actually.
It's
Come here,
squishy,
buddy. Yes,
is it?
yes.
I
We
thought
shouldn't.
like it looked because
Yeah,
I guess it's a different material, isn't it, to that hard beak?
look,
Oh, wow.
it's squishy.
Oh, so good. And how
Okay,
about
sorry,
like the
I'm not the
rest?
best cameraman.
No, you're doing an amazing job. We're getting such an incredible view. I mean, this is such a treat, honestly. Um, and of course, remember everyone, you've got the recording to work from, so you can zoom in on these gorgeous like these close-ups here. Oh, so am I seeing the gap in her beak now?
Yes,
Yeah,
and that
yeah. Mm,
it's on the right side of her face,
yeah.
and you can see the little tongue moving actually.
Her tongue.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a little? So we're talking about smelling the food in the ocean, and so things like jellyfish, obviously, they can't swim away too quickly. So I can
Mhm.
understand how turtles can eat them. But
Yeah.
when you were saying you were dropping fish at the bottom of the tank for her to eat, is that how turtles usually eat? Would they have like the sort of like offcuts, I suppose, like bits that have fallen off, or like um
Mm.
they wouldn't actually be swimming to catch a fish, I'm asking,
Yeah,
basically.
so actually, yeah, most of them don't. Olive lilies do catch some fish every now and then. But so it depends on the species. They have a very like different diet, and that's why there's the 7 species. They each are specifically targeting a specific type of food. In the case of olive Ridleys, they are how to say, they are deep divers, and they tend to eat mainly shellfish and mollusks, so hard-shelled organisms, and then also a bit of seaweed, sometimes fish. Okay, but then we have, for example, the green sea turtle. When they're adults, they mainly eat seagrass and jellyfish. Other than that, they're herbivores.
Got it. Yeah.
And then we have the hawksbills, which are tend to eat sponge
Yes.
between coral reef, which is super important because sponge and corals are they look very similar, but they are just different organisms. And corals take very long years to grow, whereas sponges kind of grow very, very fast. And so the fact that hawksbills, which by the way, they're critically endangered, the fact that they eat sponge allows the corals to thrive in a reef. So they are very, very important. They do also eat soft corals, but apart from that,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And so yeah, so the
Amazing.
diets depend on the species.
Incredible. Oh, so good. Okay, so we've got a few quite detailed questions coming up. So, Michelle, you're asking about the labeling on packaging. Now, so this I'm going to need to do a little bit more research in this. But I know in the UK there's the Marine Stewardship Council, the MSC, and they I'm not sure how much impact they have on labeling. I don't think it's standardized across the board, which is something that it should be. But there is an app that you can download, and it basically all seafood from the sea is rated on this app in terms of sustainability, and they rate it for different aspects, so like sort of fishing methods, like how much is in the sea. So there is a little bit of information there. But yes, I think there's more that needs to be done. So that's a bit of research we can get into for sure. Nas, did you want to say anything about that? Did you have any resources in terms of like sustainability of seafood and impact on wildlife?
Um, I mean, yeah, the labeling, shop locally, so fish that are locally found in your area as well, kind of keeps the carbon footprint down as well, apart from the damage. And yeah, just pretty much avoid the bottom trawling and long lines. Those are awful. The thing is, it's the amount of nets is just unimaginable. Of nets that are abandoned or lost at sea is from commercial fisheries is just absurd. There was a study that said 640,000 tons of nets enter the ocean every year. Obviously, yeah, that's an estimation, but that's crazy. It's like 126,000 elephants piled up. Okay, so yeah. And the reason why,
Is there
because
any
many,
regulation around that? Like, I mean,
yeah. So the thing is, the issue is that fishermen with these ginormous nets, right?
yeah.
They many things can happen at sea. Your nets can get like break. Your nets can get entangled in something like on the sea floor. They maybe catch too much, and it's so heavy that they can't retrieve their own nets. And so all of these things lead them to just cut the nets, let them go, continue, because obviously every second for them counts. Every second for them is money because it's the fuel time, and therefore they are just more likely to just dispose of them at sea and forget about them and just get a new one than having to take all of that weight, because they are heavy. They have to carry all that weight back, the fuel time, then have them fixed, blah blah blah.
Right.
So it's just easier and cheaper and quicker to just let them go. And it's just very important. It's just I don't even know how it's still happening nowadays, but it is a thing.
So like it seems wild that the fishing boats are allowed to do that, but I suppose
Yeah,
it's something
I
that
don't think they're allowed, to be
no, no,
honest,
no,
but it's just something that
it's
happens.
illegal. But then
Yeah,
how on earth is anyone going to regulate that? I mean, there's like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are companies that are good or at least better, and there are companies that just won't care at all. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're right, yeah, it's all about money, isn't it? And
At the end of the
as
day, yeah.
the sea is getting, it's harder and harder to fish because there is less and less in there. And so you're right that yeah, where money is to be made, there are always animals to be that
Yes.
suffer.
Absolutely. And not just the abandoning or losing the nets, it's also the bycatch as well. They, these nets
Mm,
are ginormous and they just catch everything, everything, everything. So yes, they're
yes.
catching the targeted species that they're trying to find, plus, you know, all sorts of animals, including turtles, sharks, whales, whale sharks, mantas, anything that just happens to be in the wrong place in the wrong time is
Yeah.
caught. And by the time they can just let them go, they've probably drowned or they've probably just suffered traumatism or something that they are pretty much dead by the time they enter the ocean again. So,
Ay, ay, ay. Okay,
yeah.
so there are things to be looking into. So
Yeah.
in the recording email, what I'll do is I'll have a look into some of these issues and see if there are any resources that people can study,
Yeah.
and share that with you. But let's lift the spirits back up again. And we have a question from Irene, and she is
Yeah.
asking, is it possible that her flipper will get better over time? And in general, for injuries due to their long lifespan, how, okay, so hang on, sorry. There's
Let's
three
go for this.
questions. So will it get better over time? And in general, do injuries get better over time because of the long lifespan of the
Of
turtles?
the Caesar.
Yes.
Yes. So actually, in fact, the so let me show you her affected flipper, which is this one. Um, Now the entanglement was so tight that it caused an infection in the bone. Okay.
Mm,
However, the vets managed to salvage it. Okay. It's always better to keep the limb if it's possible, even though they lose mobility.
yeah.
Now, Nakaiy, since she's been here, we do see her moving it more and more every time she dives. So when she's at the surface, she doesn't really use it.
Yeah.
But when she's diving, she's gaining a little bit of mobility every day. Oh,
That's
sorry.
amazing.
Yeah, so it won't, most likely, it will never be, like the other one anymore. But it's, imagine you go through an accident and then your knee is never the same, but you can still do a normal life with your knee that is not working the
Yes.
same way.
Yeah.
So it's the same with turtles, even though obviously it's not ideal, but she can live a fantastic life and she will be fine. It's not gonna affect her fertility, it's not gonna affect her, she can still nest, she can still forage, she can still do everything a regular turtle does, even if she's
Incredible.
missing a flipper or two.
For sure.
Yeah.
And how long will she live? Do you know what's the average lifespan of an
Yeah,
olive
so
ridley?
it depends again on the species, but for example, olive lilies live around 60 to 80 years.
Wow.
However, having said this, there is not much research also. So the cool thing about sea turtles is that we know very little actually from
Mm.
these animals. So, we keep discovering new things all the time. But
Yeah,
for what we
amazing.
know, yeah, for what we know, they live around 60 to 80 years, these species. Yeah.
Okay, this leads me on to very neatly onto the question that I'm going to ask about you now. So I wanted
Oh,
to ask, like, your role there is a biologist. So are
yes.
you on the like rehabilitation side, or are you on the research side, or a bit of both? Like, what
A
does
bit of
your
everything, a bit of
Yeah,
the
okay,
three.
tell us about
Yeah.
it.
So okay, so as I mentioned, I think the first thing was the fact that Olive really has three main kind of work pillars. We
Yeah.
do rescue and rehabilitation, we do scientific research, and we do education and outreach. And all of us that work here pretty much do a bit of everything.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, some do more of some things than others. So actually, I've been working here for almost 3 years. I was based in another island before that didn't have a rehab center, sorry.
Yeah.
And so I was mainly doing scientific research and education and outreach
Mm-hmm.
with the local community. But here, I've been here for 7 months, and obviously my time is spent mainly with with this bugger here. But But we also carry out scientific research by monitoring the nests that we have on the island. So
Got
we
it.
mainly have green sea turtles nesting in here, and it's actually this island is one of the nesting hotspots in the Maldives. So scientific research
Amazing.
is still done here. And
Could you
then
tell us again the name of your particular island?
yes, so well, we're actually in the resort. It's called Soneva Jani. Soneva Jani.
Okay, got it. And
Yeah.
do you know, I was actually Googling a little bit of well, I was actually Googling the atoll where Nakaiy
Nunu,
is
yeah.
found, and my
Oh,
goodness
Laviani.
me,
Yeah.
that looks like a heavenly spot. I mean,
Oh, yes.
yeah, really, really beautiful.
It is, yeah. No, Maldives in general is amazing. Especially if you like, if you're into wildlife, marine wildlife.
Yes,
It's
yes.
spectacular. I think after being here, when I go back home in the Mediterranean, I'm just gonna be so sad. Like when
Oh,
if I go snorkeling and diving, I'll be like, "Where's the colors? Where's
I
the wildlife?"
bet, I bet.
Yeah,
You're so
but
lucky.
yeah, yeah,
This is amazing, Nakaiy. Please stay where you are. This is a stunning
yes.
position.
She's giving us the side eye.
She is. I love it. You can get to see like all of the different parts of her face and her beak.
Yeah.
So there, what did I was I right by calling them scales? Like
Yes.
yeah, the
So the
different sections. Yeah.
scales are right here on her flippers, right here on her cheeks, on the
Yeah.
top of the head. Now the little squares that we see, let me just show you.
Yeah.
This whoop, on her shell, you see these kind of square-like
Yeah.
structures.
Yeah.
These are called scutes. Now the scutes
Scoots.
are made of keratin, which I think I actually you were saying it correctly. Yes. So they're made of keratin, and each species has a unique number of scutes, which is a kind of recognizable feature between species. Now
Got
olive
it.
reedies are really cool because so they have sort of random, not random, but uneven number of scoots. So some may have, say, for example, 7 on the side, 8 in the middle, 9 on the side. So they just vary. Um, but then, for example, a green sea turtle, normally they have, now I'm doing cardio again, sorry. Um,
You're doing
green sea
great.
turtles have 5 central, so, or vertebral, so the ones in the center they have
Yeah.
5, and then they have 4 on the sides, 4 very big ones, so it just
Yeah.
depends on the species. They have a different number. Whoop.
Right.
Yes. And yeah, the scales are on the skin. Yeah, they have a beak, they don't have teeth, and they have this claw here. Whoop. So they have a claw on each flipper. And actually
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
one of the things that we we can use to determine whether it's a boy or a girl.
Ah.
Is Yeah, so let me see if Nakaiy comes back because I have something to show you regarding that. So,
Ah.
Nakaiy, come here. Let's go to the other window, shall we? Let's show them your little tail. So, so a way of knowing whether a turtle is a boy or a girl, okay, is 2 things. Well, 3 things. One, they have to be of age. So they have to be around 15 to 20, meaning that they're adults. So
Wow,
that's when
that is a
they reach
long
adulthood.
time for
Yeah. Oh no, she's
maturity.
gonna
Yeah.
little. And so at that age, that's when we can say whether it's a boy or a girl. Now, I will point at her little bum bum right there. So you will see the tail. Actually, the tail is tucked in right now. So she's
Yeah. He's got like a little, like sort of, it,
yeah.
yeah.
So the tail is kind of tucked inside, like
I
not
see.
inside on the side. So it's
Hmm.
a little bit tricky to see it. But so when they're adult or young adults, their tails, if they're very short, they're and if it's so that's one of the features. And then the other feature is Nakai's front flippers. You see how she has right there, she has a little claw.
Yeah, yeah.
A
I see
very
it.
small pointy claw there.
Hmm.
So for females, this front flipper claw is very short and yeah, it's short and spiky. Whereas for a male, they are long and curved, and that's because they use them to latch on the females when they're mating.
Got it. Yeah.
So
Incredible.
you
Like
see
snakes,
right
they
there,
have those
that's
little ghost
there.
leg
That's
horn things.
the
Yeah, amazing. Wow.
that's the claw.
And when you look at the actual skeleton of a turtle, you can see
Mhm.
the kind of the remnants.
Yeah.
It's not like it's kind of a it's not exactly like it, but it has the sort of same skeletal structure as like a human hand in the turtle flipper, doesn't it?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. They have elongated fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and they're just
skeleton
sort
wise,
of
they're
joined
very, very similar
together.
to us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
incredible.
and yeah, their ribs and spine are actually fused with the carapace or the shell.
Yeah,
So that's their rib cage. But the limbs do look like ours a lot. Yeah, they have
yeah,
the same
absolutely
bones.
amazing.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can
that's just
kind of see
elongated.
as well, like when
So
I've
yeah.
seen, sorry, please carry on. I'm interrupting you.
No, no, please. No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
What I was going to say, if you can see here the way that Nakai is pushing the water away. So sea turtles, I mean, all tortoises evolved from sea-dwelling turtles, didn't they? So like they
Hmm.
came up on land. And interestingly, if you ever hang out with a tortoise, which I do quite frequently, you can see the way that the tortoises on land they push the ground away in the same way as the turtles push the water away. And it makes so much sense, like the evolutionary journey. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
so good. So good. I feel
Yeah.
like, oh, so just a quick question while we're seeing the tortoise
Yes, of
shell here.
course.
Jackie is asking, do they have any parasites?
Yeah, so well, it depends. Well, Nakai doesn't, as
Yeah.
far as I know. No, but yeah, so they can have multiple parasites. Now, some are, for example, barnacles. So there's barnacles that are they don't really cause any harm on them, but some barnacles can kind of drill a hole in their carapace, which is obviously
Right.
bad for them because they can get infected, etc.
Mhm.
And yeah, they do have some parasite. I've seen leeches on sea turtles before, which
Wow.
I didn't know leeches were a thing in the ocean, but they are. Um,
Ooh,
but
lovely.
yeah, they can have some parasitic epibionts, yes, and
Yeah.
also food wise for sure they can get. I think that's a very good question that we can I can research a little bit more about, and I can get back to you with more info on that.
Yeah, no, sure.
Parasites are
That
really
sounds
cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then so last question back from Michelle, sort of like
Yeah.
linking back to what we were talking about before. I guess she's asking, so certainly in the UK, we are seeing more fish stocks in the
Oh,
supermarket come from farmed fisheries. So like, yeah, like
yeah.
regulated, like salmon fisheries, I guess, which are not known for their high welfare. There's a lot of disease within those fish farms, and it's just like, and then there's like sort of interbreeding with the wild species, and I just it's very like feels very messy and very like oh. And so
Mhm.
basically, Michelle is asking, what is your opinion, now, when you are, would you like farm raised fish against not polluting the ocean? I don't know. What are your stance on that if you have one?
It's what can I say? I guess it depends on which farm they're coming from.
Yeah,
I know some
dependent on
farms
that.
like that do, for example, aquaculture. That is one of the most, the best ways. So, aquaculture is combining the farming with the fishing and with they make their own worms, and the worms kind of clean the water, and the water is then used for the plants, and it's sort of a closed
Yeah,
loop system, and
yeah,
that is really cool, and I think that's kind of the future for fish farming. I think it's really, it is one of the best solutions in a way.
yeah.
um I think I would always kind of go like for local.
Local, yeah.
I come from an
That's
island myself.
produced.
I'm from Mallorca, by the way. So Mallorca in Spain, and we do have kind of local fishermen that also do the traditional fishing. I think going the more traditional you can go, the better.
Yeah, of
Um, yeah, and I guess just do your research, because I guess everywhere in the wherever you live, it's going to be a little bit different, the availability of the
course.
fish and the availability of the food in general.
Yeah,
So, yeah, just kind of educate yourself of what's the best solution for your area. Find local farms, find local fishermen if you're near the coast.
Yes.
But yeah, try to, what? I think we have to go back to our roots, like as a human
Mm.
species. The more traditional ways of and more kind of natural ways are the best ways, no?
You're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
less like steering away from the mass produced and then going to our markets.
Exactly. Shop
To
locally.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, so let me put together a little bit of research into what you've done, and again,
Mm-hmm.
I'll send that out with the recording email so people have got a bit more information. But
Amazing.
yeah, thank you so much for your insights there. It's
Oh, you're so
yeah, it's
welcome.
absolutely incredible to chat to you.
Yeah.
So as we're sort of nearing the end of the session, I just wondered if there was anything that you wanted to share in particular about how people could kind of keep connecting with the Olive Ridley project. I know that you guys
Mm-hmm.
have a podcast, you do live feeding
Yes.
sessions.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us more.
So that's two fantastic ways of doing that. So we are on social media, and it's not just me here. We are quite a big team at this point. And we have bases in different countries as well. So in our social media and also in our website, we do share what we're all doing and the research that is going on. And so that is a nice way of following our story through Instagram and Facebook, for example. And yeah, you the podcasts are actually so good, I must say. I'm not biased, actually. I like listening to them. I'm like, yeah, that's so interesting. So yeah, if you have time or if you're going to bed and you want to listen to something, a little bit different, our podcast is, I believe, on Spotify. And you
Amazing.
can just, yeah, they're chapters. We connect with different scientists, and we basically talk about turtles, and each how to say episode is talking about something different. So highly recommended. It's really fun.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
interesting. Really interesting, actually.
I'll take a listen for
What
sure.
else? We do have so if you want to go a little bit more personal, we do have an adoption, an adoption thing going on. So you can name and adopt a wild turtle, and so every time we see this turtle and we take remember the photo ID of the sea turtles that we were talking about. Whenever that turtle is recited, we let you know, and so it's a really fun way of collaborating, but also kind of keeping track of your turtle, if you will, which is
Absolutely.
fun. Yeah, that's I always recommend it for like birthday gifts or something like that. It's a different way of collaborating and yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely. Like
exactly.
animal
So
adoption packs as gifts is such a clever way of doing it.
it
And
is super
um
good.
now haven't if I remember rightly,
Yeah.
do you also sell things that are made out of the ghost fishing nets?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh my good God. Yes. So, in Pakistan, well, here we do little
Yeah,
bracelets. Okay, so these
gorgeous.
are actually. Wait, let me put them a little bit better because I was not ready for this. So
Sorry. Little
So
modeling
these are
job at the end.
these are made with fishing nets.
Wow.
Actually, I've had 3 interns so far since I've been in Maldives, and yeah, these are made by my interns, one each.
Incredible.
Anyways, but we do make them with the nets that are found with the sea turtles, and also with the nets that are found within our team or other people that send them to us or whatever. We can braid them and make into bracelets, and we do kind of sell them within the resorts, or we teach also the local community how to make them, and it's kind of a way of reusing these nets and kind of making a little bit of pocket money in a way. But
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
perfect.
And then for in online, you can actually buy. I don't think bracelets are a thing in our website, but we do sell dog leashes, and these
Okay.
dog leashes are made with. So it's even more, because this is just a little thread, no.
Yeah.
But the dog leashes are actually made in Pakistan. They do a lot of work with fishermen who help them retrieve the nets. So it's more of an active kind of. Oh, she's swimming away. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
More of an active
you
work
did an amazing job making it
retrieving
work
the
hard.
nets. Yeah. So, and they just convert them into dog leashes. It's really cool. So that again, a really cool gift
Really
idea.
cool. Yeah, I'll put that link in the recording email for sure. Okay,
Yes.
then last question.
Mm-hmm.
Do turtles make any noises?
Well, you know what? Oh my God. Okay. So, a very recent research about nesting.
Yeah.
Maybe you've seen a video on Instagram. It sort of went viral this past week or month. So when they're in the nest, um, they do these little. So the embryos, okay, they do these little chirps and grunts, and
Hmm.
they are communicating with each other.
Oh,
And we think that what's happening is they're sort of um, kind of communicating when they're ready to hatch, when they're ready to emerge together as well. And
oh,
it's sort of a these little, it's amazing to, I will try to find the video. I'll
yeah,
try to
could
send it
you?
to
I've
you
not
because
seen it, but
the
yeah, no,
cutest thing.
definitely, please do.
Oh, it was amazing. Like, so, they put a sort of a hydrophone or a little, microphone or whatever into the nest, and they just recorded this chirps and grunts, which were the cutest thing
Oh,
ever, in my opinion. So they
that's
do
the
communicate. Yeah, they do communicate when they're in the nest. Now, adults, hmm, not really.
fair enough.
They can grunt a little bit, or, but I don't think it's no, they don't really communicate with each other,
Yeah,
at
it's
least
not
with sounds.
vocalization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do sense vibrations very, very intensely. And so again, we are doing a lot of research in sea turtles because we don't know everything, right? So, I mean, this year, that's when this research on the little chirping happened. So there's so many things that we still need to discover. And so, yeah, so perhaps they're communicating in a way that we don't know. Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
well,
she's, yeah,
so, I
amazing.
mean, Nakaiy, you've been the most wonderful model, and Neus, you've
Oh,
been the
look at
most
her.
wonderful host.
Oh.
You really have. It's been such a beautiful session, and your knowledge is so vast and wide, and
Oh.
like it's been lovely to spend this time with Nakaiy. And I
Oh.
always say that, when you spend lots of time with one particular animal. So say
Yeah.
for example you were going to a rescue center and there was lots of different animals to see. You wouldn't spend 90 minutes with one animal and you wouldn't watch them kind of swimming around and seeing them from the different angles and learning about the squishy noses. Like it just
Yeah.
it just is that much deeper connection, and certainly observing through drawing as well. Like that changes your kind of, that means your connection is deeper as well, I think. So it's been
Yeah.
such a pleasure. So now I'm going to ask everybody to pop their cameras on if you would like to, and let's see if we can. Um, let's see if we can see everybody's artworks. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, amazing. Now, can
Wait.
you see these? Do you want to have a
I
look?
was gonna say we have the laptop here.
Okay,
I
great.
really want to see them, so I'll just
Okay, I'm
kind
just
of
gonna do a
change the
little
little.
screenshot of them. Oh my goodness, Rachel, I love those little hues of blue coming in from the top there. And Ruth, yours are beautiful colors. Wow, Kate. Sheila, that beak is not parroty at all. It's fantastic. Anna, what am I saying? Your contrast is beautiful on there. Laura Katie, oh Michelle, beautiful in the yellow. Irene, your sketchbook is heaven. Love all the notes on there. And Trude, a beautiful sweeping ocean current of turtles there. Well done, everybody. Well done. That's absolutely spectacular. So, as usual, what we will do is just ask you if you wanted to share any of your drawings on social media. Sometimes what we do is we ask people to share an interesting fact about the turtles, or maybe a link to Olive Ridley project so people can find out more, which is always really good. It's a nice organic way of talking about these issues in the ocean, and people finding out about it. It has been such a lovely morning. Together we raised £180 for you guys at the Olive Ridley Project.
Oh, thank you so
So
much.
So we'll be
Oh,
transferring that over, and that's thanks to everyone here who's signed up
yeah.
today. So we really, really appreciate all of your coming together. It's only the 4th of January. Everyone's probably still feeling a little bit Christmased out. So hopefully it was a nice way to begin the year. And certainly it has made me think, like, I'm going to reevaluate the way I do my shopping. I do try and do things in the best way that I possibly can. But sometimes time, all of those other, time and price, like all of those other factors do come into it. But I know I'm going to strive to be a better consumer in terms of the ocean for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, lots of lovely, lovely comments. It was such a pleasure to have you all along. Neus, thank you so much. It's
You're
been so
welcome.
great. You were so wonderful, and I'm just so happy that Nakaiy has you. Here she is. I'm going to pin you for the last bit. That Nakaiy has you, and that the sea turtles of the ocean have the Olive Ridley project. Because without
Yeah.
you, just imagine it would be awful. There would be so
Yeah.
many more casualties and so many more
Yeah.
injuries. So I'm so happy you exist. Keep up your amazing work. And we will be seeing you next for Hedgerows on the 21st of Jan, if you'd like to join that. And do you know what? I'm not going to use this time to advertise further classes. I'm just going to
Appreciate
stare
that
at
kind of
Nakaiy for
space.
the last few seconds because she is just the most good. She's come to say goodbye to us, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Ah, she's so
Oh.
many different colours, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, we really enjoyed our time with you.
Likewise, I can tell you I love speaking about sea turtles. I could speak for hours on end.
I mean,
So it's a pleasure,
and
honestly.
we would gladly listen.
Yeah.
So with that, everyone, thanks a million for joining. Thank you for your help with the donation. The recording email will be along in your inboxes shortly. But other than that, have a lovely rest of your weekend. And I hope this has lifted any January blues and given you a little dose of blue waters. Maybe not sunshine, but certainly some tropical temperatures. So thanks,
Yeah, temperature for
everybody.
sure. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. It was an honor.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours. Thank you ever so
Oh,
much. Goodbye,
okay.
everyone. Thanks
Say
again.
bye, Nakaiy. Bye, girl.
Bye, Nakai. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Oh.